In our first video in this series, we talked about using just a stuffed toy on a string as a way to set up some controlled distractions, but we can use substitutes or faux triggers for all sorts of useful things. And this short series will talk about some advantages and some examples of things we can use. Of course, the advantage is if we have more control. Let's say if our dog hates other dogs, instead of using dogs that we can't control, even a dog on a leash might bark or lunge or something and frighten our dogs. We could use like a fake stuffed dog. And there are some that look very realistic. Melissa and Doug is one company, and I'm sure there are others. If our dog is afraid of humans, sometimes we can't control the human getting too close or trying to pet. So we could use human substitutes like scarecrows or mannequins. And it doesn't always have to be something that we build or make. We could find statues of people or even statues of dogs and other things at parks and such. And not only is it safer for our pet to use these substitutions, it might be safer for the trigger as well, especially if our dog has had some aggression issues in the past. And one of the great things about using the faux triggers is that if we have trouble finding a friend or a family member or a trainer who can help us where we want to be helped, then we could set up something ourselves, like in the first video where I used like a string pulley type thing. Now, I already showed a stuffed toy on a string. We could also use realistic stuffed animals. Or go to a thrift shop, find an old rabbit fur coat or fox stole, stuff those, put those on a string and see how those might work. We can use dolls to substitute, especially for kids. There are, of course, electronic animals and humans that might be a bit more expensive, and we have to be careful. We don't want our dogs catching those, of course, and biting into it and getting to the battery or something. So safety first, of course. We could also put like a doll in a dress and then put that on top of a remote control car, and then the dress covers the car, so it would simulate a child moving around. We could put stuffed animals on top of a car as well, but we also want to acclimate our dogs to the noise of a remote control car. And mannequins in the stores could be used. Scarecrows, where we would just take some clothes. Doesn't have to be exactly a scarecrow, but you can take some clothes, stuff it with stuffing like old cloth or foam, set it off in the distance to make it look like a human. You could even tie a string to a pulley to move around the hands and heads. And the faux trigger doesn't always have to be visual. Some dogs get really upset when they hear the jingling of tags from other dogs. So we could start out with really quiet tags, and once our dog is feeling better about tags inside or right in the yard or right outside the residence, then we could put the tags on the string far away so it sounds more like a dog approaching. It sounds more realistic. So we looked at how we can use substitutions and counter conditioning. It can also be used for distraction training, and we talked about how it's safe for the trigger and for the dog to use substitutions. For more on desensitization and counter conditioning, I will put a link to another video. Thank you.